Ahoy there, mateys. We are moving on with Chapter 9. We're moving into 9.2, which is all about the mean. Mean, that's not nice. Oh, it's not too bad. We'll see. We're going to start off with a little warm-up activity just to keep your brain sharp. You're going to have to do some reading of graphs and interpreting. So we're going to start with this one. This bar graph shows the number of home runs hit by 10 players on a baseball team during the regular season. Which of the players hit the most home runs? It was player 8. Correct. So player 8 has the highest bar. That's the one that hit the most home runs. How many home runs did player 8 hit? Player 8 hit 31 home runs, as you can tell by the bar graph here. All right. Question 2. Of the 10 players shown, what percent, and remember, percent means if there were 100 players, how many would have hit more than 20 home runs? So there are 10 players. So what percent hit more than 20 home runs? All right, hopefully you remember how to do percents here. So our bars above 20, those are the ones we're looking for. So the ones that hit more than 20, player 6 hit exactly 20, so we're not going to count player 6. But players 7 and 8 both hit more than 20, so that's 2 out of 10, which would be 20%, hit more than 20 home runs. And the third question, of the 10 players, what percent hit fewer than 12 home runs? So fewer than 12. So again, using our bar graph here, 12 is right here. We're not going to count player 10, who hit exactly 12, because that's not fewer than 12. But we count up all the bars that are less than 12. So we got 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5 players hit less than 12 home runs. So 5 out of 10, or 50%. Okay, so a lot of what you're going to be doing is looking for average. And you might have heard that term before. So what comes to mind when you think of the word average? And how does the word average relate to math? So in math, there are, some mathematicians say there are 3 types of averages. There's the mean, the median, and the mode. And some people think, well, if they say average, what they're talking about is the mean. And that's usually true. So when you see the word average, like what is the average in this set of numbers, what you're going to do is calculate the mean. Okay, now it's time to take some notes. So let's see if this loads. Oh, there it is. Okay. So this is what you're going to want to write down in your notes. So the mean of a data set is the sum of the data divided by the number of data values. That sounds very complex and mathy, and it kind of is. But basically what it means is what you're going to do is add up the numbers that they give you in your list and then divide by how many numbers there are. And that's it. That's how you find the mean. So for example, if your data set was 8, 5, 6, and 9, so for the last 4 days, on day 1 you had 8 donuts, and day 2 you had 5 donuts, and day 3 you ate 6 donuts, and day 4 you ate 9 donuts. First of all, you've eaten way too many donuts. But to figure out the mean amount of donuts you ate, you would add up all those, 8 plus 5 plus 6 plus 9, that is 28. And you'd divide by 4 because you ate them over 4 days. And you would find out you ate a mean average of 7 donuts per day. Again, a lot of donuts. You shouldn't do that. Okay, so now we're going to practice doing the mean. So one way to remember this is it would be really mean if somebody made you add up a bunch of numbers and then divide by how many numbers there are. And that's how you find the mean. Okay, so we're going to let's do this first one. And then I'm probably going to skip some of these examples just to speed the video along. So TV shows watched each day this week. So 7 days in the week, 2 TV shows were watched the first day, 2 the second, 3, 4, 1, 0 TV shows on that day, and then 2 on the last day. So to find the mean, the first thing you're going to want to do is add all those numbers together. And then after you have the sum, what number would you divide by? In this one, you would divide by 7 because there are a total of 7 numbers here. You do count the zeros. 0 is part of the data set. And what was the mean number of shows watched that week? Okay, when you add them all up, you get 14. And then when you divide by 7, you get 2. Okay, so we're going to skip number 2. We're going to skip number 3. And we're going to jump to number 4 because it's got, bigger numbers. Also, my personal opinion on this one is that it's okay for you to use your calculator as long as you're using it to add and then divide, but don't use a calculator that just tells you the mean if you put in numbers, okay? So if you're using a calculator to add and then divide, no problem for this assignment. So minutes spent getting ready for school. So over the course of 5 days, it took 45 minutes, 53 minutes, 65 minutes, 37 minutes, and 29 minutes. What was the mean average for number of minutes each day? All right, so you add them all up, and then you would divide by 5, because there's 5 days, and your answer would be 45.8. Okay, and again, this is why calculators will be helpful, because a lot of times when you do the mean, you're going to end up with a decimal. Okay, so this next example, this one will be multiple choice. Don't stress too much. Here we go. So we have text messages sent. Mark sent 120, Laura sent 95, Stacy sent 101, Josh sent 125, Kevin sent 82, Maria 108, and Manny 90. Okay, so find the mean number of messages sent for those 7 different people. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is add up all 7 of these numbers, and then you will divide that total by 7, and, oh, they're showing you right there. Again, a good opportunity for some notes. Might be good to pause the video, take some notes. And your answer would be 103. Okay, there we go. So 103 was the average number of text messages sent. Okay, next example, we have a double bar graph. So the darker green is City 1, and it's showing you the average rainfall in inches per month. And then City 2 is the lighter green. And it says, so some of what you're going to be doing is comparing 2 different means. So you'll compare the mean for City 1 and compare the mean for City 2. So the first thing that I would do if I'm comparing these 2 cities is I would add up all the City 1, and then I would divide by, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. So I'd add up 3.5 plus 2.2 plus 1.9 plus 2.1, 2.5, and 3.4. And then divide that total by 6. And for City 1, you would get 2.6 inches on average per month. All right, so I'll leave that up there. Your job right now is to figure out what is the average rainfall for City 2. Okay, so hopefully you added up all these ones, the 1.7, 1.6, 2.2, and so on, all the light green bars, because that's City 2. And you would get a total of 12 divided by 6, because there are 6 months where they kept the data, and that would be an average rainfall of 2. So City 1 gets 0.6 inches more per month than City 1 generally. Okay, so next example, I'll try and move a little quicker. This is getting into outliers. So a lot of times you're going to collect some data, or you'll have some data, and one of the numbers or 2 of the numbers will be way out there. And what happens is it throws the mean out of whack. So here we have this list of Shetland pony heights, and there's an outlier there. One of the Shetland ponies just doesn't belong with the others. So figure out which of those is the outlier. Okay, now this is a lot easier to do if you use a dot plot. So if you display it in the dot plot, so there's all of these data shown on this dot plot, you'll see clearly, oh, it was the one that was 28. That's the outlier. So that tiny little Shetland pony will throw off the average of the mean. Okay, so what you're going to do is first find the mean with the outlier. Because this video is running long, I'll just show you that answer right now. So if you add up all 10 pony heights and divide by 10, because there's 10 ponies, the height, wait, there we go, with the outlier, with the 28 in there, is 37.9. Okay, I would like you to find the mean height without the outlier. So you're going to pretend like that 28-inch pony is not there. Find the mean in that case. All right, so you're going to add up these other 9 numbers, and then you'll divide by 9, because now you've eliminated the, not eliminated, it's still alive, it's just, it's hanging out in its own little space, but you are not including it in your calculation. So you add up the other 9 numbers, divide by 9, and you see the height of 39 inches. That is actually a better average for these ponies, because that one tiny little pony would have thrown it off. All right, so with an outlier, in this case, the mean would be a lot less than it should be, because this pony was a lot smaller than the other ponies. Sometimes the outliers will throw it off because it's way bigger than the other numbers. So that's an outlier. Okay, so here, for each set of data, figure out what the outlier is. So here we have weights in pounds of dogs at a kennel. And here's the list. Which one is the outlier? Okay, and then here, prices from flights to Miami, Florida, to San Juan, Puerto Rico. Here are the prices. One of these is an outlier. Which one is it? All right, hopefully for number 3, you said 8. And for number 4, hopefully you said this 900 was the outlier, because this 900 is way bigger than the other ones, and this 8 is way smaller than the other ones. Now, when you get into math next year and the year after in high school, there's an actual formula to calculate outliers. Don't worry about that this year. Okay, so for you guys, an outlier is just a number that's way smaller or way bigger than the other numbers. And sometimes there aren't outliers. All right, just for sake of time, what I would like to do is talk about number 5, but we're not going to go over this one. You'll have some problems that are word problems. So like in your class, 7 students do not receive an allowance. 8 students receive $8 every week. 6 students receive $5 every week. And 10 students receive $3 every week. If you're calculating the mean, do not forget you're going to add 7 zeros into your list, because those 7 students who receive 0 count as part of the list. And then when you divide to get the mean, you're going to include these 7 students who get 0. Okay, so if you have a list with 0 in it, you treat it as that's like one of the data sets. Okay, so when you divide, you include that amount in the division. I hope that makes sense. All right, and the last one is a quick one, hopefully. So calculate the mean for the football team, their scores in the first 5 games of the season. So they scored 16, 21, 6, 30, and 27 in the 5 games. What was the mean for their scores? Okay, you add them all up and you divide by 5 because there were 5 games, and you get 20-point average. Okay, so that is mean. And a little bit on outlier. If you have any questions or need any help, come see me during On Demand, or stop by in the ASC and get some help from Ms. Rude, or shoot me an email. But mean, I think, is fairly straightforward. And good luck.